Fortunate today to have a wonderful friend and a great resource for the topic at hand, Hala Essalmawi from the Library of Alexandria. Hala is a great friend, and it's no secret I would call her up. Remember, I would mention to you that I checked this with my friend at the Library of Alexandria for verification, for examples, for insights. And she's a great, great friend who has accepted to come from Alexandria, especially to speak to you and go back on the same day. So we are very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Allow me to say a few words about you, if I may. It's a long, long, long bio, so I will just speak a few lines and it doesn't do justice.
How are you finding?
I know you, but now I looked you up. Well, Hala is the principal attorney and the intellectual property rights officer at the Library of Alexandria. She's the project lead of the library's Access to Knowledge initiative and the editor of its website. She's also a country coordinator for the EIFL IP, which, if I understand correctly, it is about information and libraries.
Yes, it's yes.
As well as the project leader for Creative Commons in Egypt. I did mention Creative Commons and Professor Fisher talked about it. We will hear more from Hala, and she is the research coordinator for the International Development Law Organization, IDLO, Consumer Protection in the Microfinance Industry Research Project. She's a doctorate candidate at Haiwan University. Her thesis is about access to knowledge under the IP law and consumer protection law. She holds a BA and Masters of Law from the Faculty of Law at Alexandria and a postgraduate diploma in International Law and Development at the Institute of Social Studies, The Hague, the Netherlands, and an LLM in Intellectual Property, Turin University. Hala is a wonderful friend and a great resource.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nagla. Hello, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be with you today. For me, in fact, for the first time to be in a classroom, physically, because I teach online with the WIPO Academy, but this is the first time, so it will be a great experience for me, and I hope I need it to be very interactive. So please, you can stop me anytime, and I'll ask you, because I don't think really Nagla knows that I came today, although I have a kind of cold or flu.
Yeah.
So, in fact, this is very convenient for me to talk less and you talk more. So I expect it to be very interactive. So what I'll talk to you today, I don't know if you already heard the discussion about the Constitution. There was a discussion for more than a year now about the Constitution. And all kind of things, they discussed economics, they discussed political issues, but not that much on the intellectual property. But because this is my area, I was really following the discussion about intellectual property and the Constitution. So, for the first time in our Constitution, we have an article about protecting intellectual property. We have already, I believe, and you have a copy of it, we have already an intellectual property law, and the copyright is one of the chapters in this legislation. However, for the first time, we were mentioning intellectual property protection in our Constitution. But I thought maybe we can compare this article with other articles. And I know Nagla told me that you're already familiar with the American copyright law, and you discussed a lot.
Some aspects.
Some aspects, yeah. Yes. So I thought let's read 3 articles. The new Egyptian article for intellectual property in our Constitution, and the one in the American Constitution. It's really more than 200 years ago. It's very old. 1780 something, and also the new one in the Tunisian Constitution. You know that it's only Egypt and Tunisia that already have their new constitution after the Arab Spring or all what happened since 2011. So let's read those articles and have a discussion. I don't know if I can see it connected here.
Yeah.
Is it connected?
Why is it?
It's here.
It should be from the computer. But it's not. It's showing only this. These two are not talking to each other.
This is
Okay. If I have everything on a flash, so you need to put it
May I?
in.
Are you
Sure.
ممكن تكلمني في slides.
So anyway, let me read it for you. That till we fix this. Okay, I'll read to you the American article.
Okay, let's just pay attention and try to register it.
Okay, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited time to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Okay, this is the American one. I hope you. Shall I read it again? And if you want to take some notes,
Take
okay?
a few words.
Because I'll ask you about this. I'll read it again. It's Article 1. If you're connected to internet, you can get it. It's Article 1, Section 8 in the United States Constitution. And it's not like the copyright clause. Okay, so it empowers the United States Congress too. So the United States Congress is allowed to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for a limited time to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Okay? This is the American one. Let me read for you the Egyptian one. It's Article 69 in the new Egyptian Constitution. The state shall protect all types of intellectual property rights in all fields and establish a specialized agency to uphold such rights and their legal protection as regulated by law. This is the Egyptian one. I believe you can see already some, it's big, there is big difference, and we'll discuss this. But let me read for you also the Tunisian one. It's in Article 41, and it's stating the right to property. The right to property shall be guaranteed, and it shall not be interfered with except in accordance with the conditions and mechanism stipulated by law. Okay? This is all about the property, the normal property. And then they say intellectual property rights are guaranteed. So you have the American one, you have the Egyptian one, you have the Tunisian one. Have you got here, in which article of those you can answer those questions? Why you are protecting intellectual property or whatever, or maybe not all of them you will find the term intellectual property. It's not, in the American one you won't find the term intellectual property, but you find something else. So where you can answer those questions. Why? How long? How and to whom? Which article is very clear in answering those questions? The American. Yes. Why? You remember the article? Shall I read it again and you tell me why? How long? How to whom? To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited time to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Why? How long? How to whom? Yes? Yes?
Why to promote science and technology?
Yes?
To whom is to the artists or the inventors? By whom is by the Congress?
Authors and inventors, yes?
By whom is by the Congress?
Yes?
And
How long?
it's a limited time, it's not specified.
And how? Anyone got how? How? Shall I read it again?
The exclusive rights.
Yes, that's it. That, exactly. So it's very clear. But you didn't study patent. Anyway, if you study patent, you know that discoveries is not really the right word to use here, but it's okay. This is not our issue now. So, but the Egyptian one, what do you think about the Egyptian one? Yes.
It's not as concise, it doesn't deliver the message of where, who, and how. No, not
How and why?
Why.
Can you see anything Why? Why we're protecting intellectual property in the Egyptian constitution? No. Can you see to whom? Can you see how long this is very important? How long is very important? How long? We're protecting intellectual property. The Tunisian one.
You want to ask a question?
Sorry.
I also just want to say, like, the Egyptian one doesn't say, like, for how long, but neither the American one, because it says, like, for a limited time. And what is the limited time?
This is another discussion, but it's still a limited time. And we have a case by the end of the class, we'll discuss this. Because it's, but then let's go to the Tunisian one. The Tunisian constitution is really, they said very, very, very few words about intellectual property. Intellectual property are guaranteed, but the most important thing is that they mention the intellectual property with the normal property, the classic property, the physical property, and what we call in law movable and immovable things. So I can own this book, I own this computer, so you have everything to do whatever you want to do forever. And if I die, my heir will get all my property, movable and immovable. But it's another thing for intellectual property, and this is why they said it's for limited time. Anyway, this can take us. Why I started with those provisions, because our main issue today is Creative Commons, and Professor Lessig, who is the founder of Creative Commons organization, he was involved in a case that in late 90s, he thought that when the Congress decided to extend the term of protection for the copyright, I believe you already started something like this, yes? So Professor Lessig and others, they said it's not constitutional to extend this term of protection. And the argument is very interesting. Maybe in your leisure time, if you really like intellectual property and copyright, you can read this. But Dr. Lessig, unfortunately, he lost this case. I'm not sure if this is related to that he started to think about Creative Commons, a new organization, an alternative, but he started this after reading this case. So Creative Commons is, you can think about Creative Commons as alternative to the current or the classic copyright regime. However, it's based on copyright regime. I was told that you already know something about Creative Commons, yes? So, can anyone explain to me? Okay. Tell me what's Creative Commons license?
I think it's a license that it's not copyrightable, as in if you take it, you're not liable for infringement.
Okay.
But under certain conditions that the author must agree to.
Yes.
Otherwise,
The author or the user?
the author he sets up some conditions that
Yes.
the user has to abide by.
Okay.
If he does, then it's not infringement. If he doesn't, then it is.
Okay, great. So, anyone else about Creative Commons? No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
Are you something?
No, we
Oh, okay. This is the number. I believe we already.
Sorry. Sure.
Anyone else about Creative Commons? Yes, please.
It's a way for authors to give up their copyright in a way that will not make anyone liable to anything.
There is a clue word about Creative Commons. Can anyone give me this clue word? Okay, I'll make it easier for you. Copyright is, when you see this C, there is always a sentence beside it. What this sentence says? Yes. And what? And Creative Commons is? Yes. That's it. Copyright. The classic copyright is about all rights reserved, whatever are all those rights. But Creative Commons is about some. And who will control those some? The author, or to be more specific, the right holder. Because the right holder is not always the author. Because the author sometimes, or most of the time, he can transfer some or all his rights to a publisher or whatever, by a contract. So the difference between the copyright and Creative Commons license is all rights and some rights. However, if there was no copyright, there is no Creative Commons licenses. Because if you don't have the all, then you can't waive some and keep some, right? So this is about, to start with Creative Commons, and I believe, oh yeah, thank you, but I believe we already finished this, so it's okay. But Nagam, please, can we give them the licenses? Are you familiar with the licenses, the CC licenses?